the rejection. The night everything changed. Luna stood at the edge of the blood moon festival, her heart pounding like thunder in her chest. Tonight was special. Tonight, under the crimson glow of the blood moon, she would finally meet her fated mate. She had waited 19 years for this moment. Every werewolf dreamed of finding their other half, the one person the moon goddess had chosen specifically for them. She smoothed down her simple blue dress. It was the nicest thing she owned. As an Omega, the lowest rank in the Shadow Crest pack, she didn't have much. But tonight, none of that would matter. The mate bond didn't care about rank or status. It only cared about souls. The festival grounds were decorated with thousands of silver lanterns. They hung from the ancient oak trees like fallen stars. The entire pack had gathered, over 300 wolves, all dressed in their finest clothes. The air smelled of roasted meat, sweet wine, and wild flowers. Music played in the distance, drums beating in rhythm with her racing heart. Luna's best friend Maya grabbed her arm. "Are you nervous?" Maya asked, her dark eyes sparkling with excitement. "Terrified," Luna admitted with a small laugh. "What if he doesn't like me?" "Are you crazy? You're beautiful, kind, and sweet. Any wolf would be lucky to have you as their mate." Luna wanted to believe her, but doubt gnawed at her insides. She touched her long brown hair, wishing it was more glamorous. She looked down at her plain dress, wishing she could afford something better. But it was too late now. The ceremony was about to begin. The scent that changed everything. Alpha Marcus emerged from the pack house, and the crowd fell silent. He was magnificent, tall and powerfully built, with jet black hair and piercing silver eyes that seemed to see into your soul. He was only 25, but he commanded respect like a king. Every unmated female in the pack watched him with hungry eyes. Luna had never been close to the Alpha before. Omegas like her were practically invisible to the higher ranks. She usually kept her head down and did her work in the pack kitchens. But now, as Marcus descended the wooden steps, something strange happened. A scent hit her. It was overwhelming, intoxicating, impossible to ignore. It smelled like pine forests after rain, like leather and smoke and something wild she couldn't name. It wrapped around her like invisible chains, pulling her forward. Her wolf, the animal spirit that lived inside every werewolf, suddenly went crazy. "Mate!" Her wolf howled inside her mind. "Mate! Mate! Mate!" Luna's eyes widened in shock. No, couldn't be. Alpha Marcus couldn't possibly be her mate. Alphas were matched with strong she-wolves, usually other alphas or powerful betas. Not weak, insignificant omegas. But the pull was undeniable. It was like a rope tied around her heart, dragging her toward him. Her feet moved on their own, carrying her through the crowd. People stepped aside, confused by the small Omega girl pushing through. Marcus stopped mid-step. His head snapped up, his nostrils flaring. Luna watched as his silver eyes dilated, turning almost black. He had caught her scent too. The mate bond worked both ways. There was no denying it, no escaping it. For one beautiful, perfect moment, their eyes locked across the crowd. Luna's heart soared. He was looking at her, really looking at her. Not through her, not past her, but at her. Then his expression changed. The wonder in his eyes turned cold. His jaw clenched tight, his hands curled into fists, and Luna's heart shattered before he even spoke. The public humiliation. "No," Marcus said. His voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. The music stopped. Every conversation died. 300 wolves turned to stare. Luna froze, standing in the middle of the crowd like a deer caught by hunters. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. "No," Marcus repeated, louder this time. He descended the rest of the steps and walked straight toward her. With each step he took, Luna's hope died a little more. He stopped 3 feet away from her, close enough that his scent was drowning her, close enough that she could see the disgust in his eyes. "You?" he said, his voice dripping with contempt. "The moon goddess matched me with you?" Whispers erupted around them. Luna heard every cruel word. "An Omega? as the alpha's mate. That's impossible. Look at her. She's so plain. This must be a mistake. Marcus raised his hand, and the crowd fell silent again. When an alpha commanded attention, everyone obeyed. I, Marcus Blackwood, alpha of the Shadow Crest Pack, reject you, Luna Whitmore, as my mate and future Luna. The words hit Luna like physical blows. Each one tore through her chest, shredding her heart into pieces. But the worst part hadn't come yet. In werewolf culture, a rejection had to be completed by both sides. The rejected wolf had to accept the rejection, or the bond would remain, causing endless pain to both parties. It was a cruel mercy. Accept the rejection and sever the bond, or live in agony forever, connected to someone who didn't want you. Luna opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her wolf was screaming inside her mind, begging her not to do it. Don't accept. Fight for our mate. He's ours. But Luna looked into Marcus's cold silver eyes and saw the truth. He would never want her. She was beneath him in every way. Tears streamed down her face as she forced the words out. I, Luna Whitmore, accept your rejection. The moment she spoke, the mate bond snapped. It felt like someone had reached into her chest and ripped out her heart while it was still beating. Luna screamed. She couldn't help it. The pain was unlike anything she had ever experienced. It wasn't just emotional pain. It was physical, spiritual, a complete destruction of something sacred. She collapsed to her knees in the dirt, clutching her chest. She could feel her wolf spirit writhing in agony inside her. The beautiful, strong presence that had always been with her started to fade, to crack, to break apart. Please, Luna sobbed, not sure who she was begging. Please, it hurts. No one moved to help her. The pack simply watched in uncomfortable silence as their alpha walked away without a backward glance. Banishment to the Deadlands. Luna spent 3 days in bed, too weak to move. The rejection had nearly killed her. Her wolf spirit was damaged, maybe permanently. She could barely feel the presence that had been her constant companion since childhood. Maya brought her food and water, but Luna couldn't eat. She just stared at the ceiling of her small room in the Omega quarters and wished she could die. On the 4th day, Beta Drake came to her door. He was Marcus's second-in-command, a cruel man with cold blue eyes and a permanent sneer on his face. Luna had always been afraid of him. Get up, Drake ordered. The Alpha has made his decision about you. Luna slowly sat up, her body still aching from the rejection. What decision? You're being banished. The word hit her like ice water. Banished? But why? I didn't do anything wrong. Your very existence is an insult to the Alpha, Drake said, clearly enjoying her fear. You dared to be matched with him. You dared to make him look weak in front of the pack. You accepted the rejection, but your presence here is a constant reminder of his mistake. But I have nowhere to go, Luna whispered. I have no family. No other pack will take a rejected wolf. Not my problem. Drake tossed a small canvas bag at her feet. You have 1 hour to pack your things and leave. If you're still here after that, the warriors will drag you out. Where am I supposed to go? Drake smiled, and it was the cruelest smile Luna had ever seen. I hear the Deadlands are lovely this time of year. The Deadlands. Luna's blood turned to ice. The Deadlands were the forbidden territory beyond the pack borders. It was a cursed place where rogue wolves roamed. Wolves who had been expelled from their packs and had turned savage. No pack law existed there. No mercy. Only survival of the strongest. Sending someone to the Deadlands was basically a death sentence. You can't, Luna said, her voice shaking. Please, Beta Drake. I'll do anything. I'll work harder. I'll stay out of sight. I'll never speak to the Alpha again. Just please don't send me there. 1 hour, Drake repeated and walked away. Luna packed her meager belongings with trembling hands. 2 changes of clothes, a blanket, a small knife from the kitchen. It wasn't enough to survive in the wilderness, but it was all she had. Maya found her at the pack gates, tears streaming down both their faces. I'm so sorry, Maya sobbed, hugging her tight. This isn't fair. You didn't deserve any of this. Take care of yourself, Luna whispered. Don't make trouble. Don't end up like me. The guards opened the gates, and Luna stepped through. The moment she crossed the boundary, she felt the pack bond sever. It was different from the mate bond breaking. That had been agony. This was emptiness. She was no longer part of Shadow Crest Pack. She belonged nowhere. She belonged to no one. Luna walked into the dark forest alone, and the gates slammed shut behind her with a terrible finality. Survival in the forbidden territory. The first night in the Deadlands nearly killed her. Luna had found a hollow tree to sleep in, curling up with her thin blanket wrapped around her shoulders. She was hungry, exhausted, and her wolf spirit was still too damaged to help her shift into wolf form. She was essentially human, vulnerable, and alone. The howls woke her just after midnight. They weren't the organized howls of pack wolves. These were wild, savage, filled with madness and hunger. Rogues. Luna pressed herself deeper into the hollow tree, making herself as small as possible. She could see them through the gap in the trunk. 5 wolves, their fur matted and dirty, their eyes glowing yellow with insanity. Rogues were wolves who had been alone too long, who had let their animal side take over completely. They didn't think like humans anymore. They only hunted, killed, and fed. One of them caught her scent. Its head snapped toward the tree, lips pulling back to reveal yellow fangs. Luna grabbed her small kitchen knife, knowing it was useless. What could a tiny blade do against 5 killing machines? The rogue approached slowly, savoring the hunt. Luna could smell its rotten breath. She closed her eyes, preparing for death. Then a voice cut through the darkness. Back! The command was so powerful, so absolute, that the rogue actually whimpered and backed away. Luna's eyes flew open. An old woman stood at the edge of the clearing. She was small and bent with age, her long white hair hanging loose around her shoulders. She wore simple robes and carried a twisted wooden staff. But there was something about her, something that made even savage rogues obey. The woman tapped her staff on the ground 3 times. Leave this place. This one is under my protection. The rogues hesitated, then turned and fled into the darkness, their tails between their legs. Luna stared in shock as the old woman approached. Who are you? My name is Alara, the woman said, her voice surprisingly gentle. And you, child, are very lucky I was taking my evening walk. Come. You cannot survive out here alone. Why would you help me? Alara's ancient eyes seemed to see right through her. Because I know what you are, Luna Whitmore. And I know what you will become. The hidden power awakens. Alara's home was a small cottage hidden deep in the Deadlands, protected by magic that kept the rogues away. The old woman fed Luna hot soup and wrapped her in warm blankets by the fire. How do you know my name? Luna asked. I know many things, Alara said mysteriously. I am what you might call a witch, though that word is too simple for what I truly am. I am a keeper of ancient knowledge, a guardian of old magic. Luna had heard stories of magic users, but she had never met one. Most packs distrusted magic, saying it went against the natural order. Why did you save me? Alara sat down across from her, studying her face intently. Tell me, child, did your mother ever speak of her family line? Luna shook her head. My mother died when I was born. I never knew anything about her family. The pack records said she was just an Omega who drifted into the territory. Your mother was not just an Omega, Alara said softly. She was a moon priestess, descended from an ancient line of female wolves blessed by the moon goddess herself. And you, Luna, carry that same blood. Luna's hand went to her chest, to the place where the mate bond had broken. If I have special blood, then why am I so weak? Why did the bond breaking nearly kill me? Because your power is dormant, Alara explained. Moon priestesses don't come into their abilities until they experience great suffering. The rejection, the breaking of your wolf spirit, the banishment. All of it was necessary to crack open the shell around your true power. I don't feel powerful, Luna whispered. I feel broken. Broken things can be remade stronger than before, Elara said. If you let me train you, if you're willing to work harder than you've ever worked in your life, if you're willing to face the pain and transform it into strength. Luna thought about Marcus, about his cruel rejection, about Beta Drake's sneering face, about the pack that had watched her suffer and done nothing. Something hard and cold formed in her chest, replacing the emptiness. It wasn't quite hate, not yet, but it was close. Teach me, Luna said. Teach me everything. Elara smiled. Then we begin tomorrow at dawn. And I warn you, child, the training will hurt far worse than the rejection. But when we're done, you will be powerful enough to make them all regret what they did to you. The transformation begins. 3 months passed in the Deadlands. 3 months of the hardest work Luna had ever done. Every morning, Elara woke her before sunrise. They would meditate together, and Elara would teach her to sense the magic that flowed through all living things. At first, Luna felt nothing, but slowly, gradually, she began to perceive it. A soft glow around the trees, a gentle pulse in the earth beneath her feet, a connection to something vast and ancient. Magic is not separate from nature, Elara taught her. It is nature in its purest form. As a moon priestess, you can channel this power. You can heal. You can protect. And if necessary, you can destroy. After meditation came physical training. Even though Luna's wolf spirit was damaged, Elara taught her to fight in human form. How to use a knife. How to use her environment as a weapon. How to move silently and strike quickly. You will never be as physically strong as an alpha, Elara said as Luna practiced knife strikes against a training dummy. So you must be smarter, faster, more precise. The afternoons were spent learning herb lore, which plants could heal wounds, which could cure sickness, which could kill. Elara's cottage was filled with dried herbs hanging from the ceiling and jars of mysterious substances. A healer is one of the most powerful members of any pack, Elara explained. People will trust you. They will let you close. And when you're close, you can do anything. But the nights were the strangest part of the training. Under the light of the moon, Elara would have Luna practice channeling her inner power. First, nothing happened. Luna would stand in the forest clearing, arms outstretched, feeling foolish. Then one night it happened. Luna felt a surge of energy rush through her body. Her hands began to glow with soft white light. The light grew brighter and brighter until it illuminated the entire clearing like a second moon. Yes, Elara cried out in excitement. You've done it. You've accessed your power. Luna stared at her glowing hands in wonder. The light didn't burn. It was cool and soothing, like moonlight made solid. She could feel the life force flowing through it. The power to heal, to protect, to create. But there was also another aspect to the power. A darker edge. The power to harm, to destroy, to take life as easily as giving it. Every power has a price, Elara warned, seeing the darkness in Luna's eyes. The question is whether you will use your gifts for revenge or for redemption. Luna didn't answer. She wasn't sure herself. The oath of return. As the months passed, Luna changed in ways she never imagined possible. Her body grew stronger from the constant training. Her mind grew sharper from Elara's lessons. And her power grew deeper, more controlled, more dangerous. But the biggest change was in her spirit. The broken, terrified girl who had been banished to the Deadlands was gone. In her place was someone new, someone harder, someone who refused to ever be a victim again. Her wolf spirit had also begun to heal. Luna could finally shift again, though her wolf form looked different now. Her fur, once a normal brown, had turned pure white, and her eyes, when she looked at her reflection in the stream, glowed with an eerie silver light. The mark of a moon priestess, Elara said proudly. You are becoming what you were always meant to be. Luna also discovered she wasn't alone in the Deadlands. Other outcasts lived there. Wolves who had been banished like her. Omegas who had run away from abusive packs. Lone wolves who preferred freedom to pack politics. Slowly, Luna began to gather them. She used her healing powers to help the sick and wounded. She used her knowledge to teach them survival skills. And gradually, they began to look to her as their leader. It wasn't a pack, not officially. But it was something. A community of the rejected, the broken, the forgotten. And they were loyal to Luna in a way the Shadow Crest pack had never been. One night, 6 months after her banishment, Luna stood on a cliff overlooking the distant lights of the Shadow Crest pack territory. Alara stood beside her. "Are you ready?" the old woman asked. "Ready for what?" "To go back. To face them. To show them what you've become." Luna felt the power humming under her skin. She thought about Marcus, probably living his perfect life with some beautiful alpha female by now. She thought about Beta Drake, still sneering and cruel. She thought about the pack that had watched her suffer and done nothing. "Not yet," Luna said quietly. "I'm not strong enough yet." "Strength isn't everything," Alara said wisely. "Sometimes the most powerful thing is knowing when to strike and when to wait." Luna nodded slowly. "Then I'll wait. I'll train. I'll grow stronger. And when the time is right, I'll return to Shadow Crest Pack." "And when you do?" Alara asked. "Will you seek revenge or justice?" Luna's white eyes glowed in the moonlight. "I don't know yet. Maybe both. Maybe neither. But I do know one thing." "What's that?" "Marcus Blackwood rejected me because he thought I was weak. He thought I was beneath him. He thought I was nothing." Luna's voice grew cold and hard. "When I return, I'm going to show him exactly how wrong he was. And then he'll be the one begging for mercy." The moon rose higher in the sky, full and bright. And somewhere in the distance, a wolf howled. But it wasn't a howl of pain or fear. It was a howl of power, a promise, of revenge waiting to be served cold. Luna Whitmore was no longer the broken Omega who had been cast out. She was something new, something dangerous, something the Shadow Crest Pack had never seen before. And soon, very soon, she would make them all remember her name. End of Part 1. The Return of Power. The mysterious healer arrives. 1 year had passed since Luna's banishment. The Shadow Crest Pack was celebrating the Harvest Moon Festival when a stranger arrived at the pack gates. She was beautiful in an otherworldly way. Long silver-white hair cascaded down her back like moonlight. Her eyes were a striking violet color, unusual for a wolf. She wore a simple traveling cloak of deep purple, and she carried a leather bag filled with herbs and mysterious bottles. The guards stopped her at the entrance. "State your business," the lead guard demanded. "My name is Celine," the woman said, her voice smooth and confident. "I am a traveling healer. I heard your pack has been suffering from a strange illness. I've come to offer my services." The guard exchanged glances with his partner. It was true. For the past month, wolves had been falling ill with a mysterious sickness. It started with fever and weakness, then progressed to something worse. The pack's regular healers couldn't cure it. Already 3 wolves had died. "Wait here," the guard said, and disappeared to fetch Beta Drake. Drake arrived minutes later, his cold blue eyes studying the stranger suspiciously. "A healer, you say? Where did you train?" "I studied with the ancient healers in the Northern Territories," Celine replied smoothly. "I specialize in magical ailments that regular medicine cannot cure." Drake's eyes narrowed. "We don't trust magic in this pack." "Then enjoy watching your people die," Celine said calmly, turning to leave. "Wait." Drake grabbed her arm. She looked at his hand, then at his face with such cold authority that he actually released her. "If you can truly heal this sickness, Alpha Marcus will reward you generously." Celine smiled, and it didn't reach her eyes. "I don't need rewards. I heal because it's my calling. Now, are you going to let me help? Or shall I take my skills elsewhere?" Drake hesitated, then nodded. "Follow me." As Celine walked through the pack grounds, she felt a strange ache in her chest. This place held so many terrible memories. But no one recognized her. How could they? Luna Whitmore had been a plain, timid Omega with brown hair and brown eyes. Celine was a confident, powerful woman with white hair and violet eyes. The transformation wasn't just physical. Alara had taught her glamour magic, ancient spells that could alter her appearance. But the real change was deeper. Luna had died in the Deadlands. Selene had been born from her ashes. Face to face with the Alpha, Drake led Selene to the Pack Hospital, a large building near the Alpha's mansion. Inside, dozens of sick wolves lay in beds, moaning in pain. The air smelled of fever and fear. "This is our head healer, Margaret," Drake said, gesturing to an exhausted-looking older woman. "She's tried everything. Nothing works." Selene moved from bed to bed, examining each patient carefully. She touched their foreheads, looked at their eyes, smelled their breath. The regular healers watched her with suspicious, jealous eyes. "This is shadow poison," Selene finally announced. "Someone has been deliberately poisoning your water supply with a rare plant that only grows in dark caves. It's slow-acting, designed to look like natural illness." The room fell silent. Margaret's face went pale. "Poison? But who would?" "That's not my concern," Selene said. "My job is to cure them. I'll need access to your herb stores and a private workroom." "I'll need to consult with Alpha Marcus first," Drake said. "Then do it quickly. You have maybe 3 days before the poison reaches the final stage. After that, no magic in the world can save them." Drake hurried away. Selene continued examining patients, very aware of the suspicious stares. She knew this was dangerous. One wrong move, one slip, and they might recognize her. But she had come too far to turn back now. An hour later, Drake returned. "The Alpha will see you now." Selene's heart began to pound as Drake led her through the Pack mansion. She had never been inside the Alpha's home before. Omegas weren't allowed in these sacred halls. The walls were decorated with paintings of past Alphas, all looking stern and powerful. They reached a large wooden door. Drake knocked twice, then pushed it open. "Alpha Marcus," the healer called Selene. Selene stepped into the office, and her breath caught in her throat. Marcus sat behind a massive desk, reviewing papers. He looked different from how she remembered. Thinner, tired. There were dark circles under his silver eyes. His black hair was longer, slightly unkempt. He looked like a man who wasn't sleeping well. When he looked up, their eyes met, and Selene felt the ghost of the mate bond stir. It had been severed, yes, but some connection remained. A phantom pain like an amputated limb that still ached. Marcus stared at her for a long moment. Selene held her breath. Did he recognize her? "You're the healer?" Marcus asked, his voice neutral. "I am. Drake tells me you identified the illness as shadow poison." "That's correct." Marcus stood and walked around the desk. He was so close now. Close enough that Selene could smell him, that intoxicating scent of pine and leather that had once made her weak. She forced herself to remain calm. "If what you say is true, someone in my pack is a traitor," Marcus said quietly. "Someone is deliberately harming my people." "It would seem so. Can you cure them?" "Yes, but I'll need 3 days and complete access to your resources." Marcus studied her face intently. Selene kept her expression neutral, professional. After a long moment, he nodded. "You'll have whatever you need. Drake will assist you. If you save my pack, I'll give you anything you ask for." "I don't want payment," Selene said. "Just a place to rest while I work." Something flickered in Marcus's eyes. Confusion, maybe. Most healers demanded gold or territory for their services. This mysterious woman asked for nothing. "As you wish," Marcus said. "Drake, set her up in the guest wing, and have guards posted. If there's a traitor poisoning our water, I want this healer protected." As Selene turned to leave, Marcus spoke again. "Your accent. You're not from the Northern Territories." Selene froze, her hand on the door handle. "I've traveled many places, Alpha. I suppose I've picked up various accents along the way." She left before he could ask more questions. Healing and hidden agendas. For 3 days, Selene worked tirelessly in the hospital. She brewed complex remedies using rare herbs. She chanted healing spells over the sick wolves. She pushed her moon priestess powers to their limits, drawing out the poison from their bodies. The pack watched in amazement as, one by one, the sick wolves began to recover. By the end of the third day, all of them were sitting up, eating, talking. Not a single death. Margaret, the head healer, approached Celine with tears in her eyes. "Thank you. I thought I would lose them all. You have a gift from the moon goddess herself." Celine smiled sadly. The moon goddess gives gifts to those who need them most. Word of the miraculous healing spread through the pack. Wolves began to approach Celine with other problems. A mother whose child wouldn't stop crying. An elderly wolf with joint pain. A warrior with an old wound that wouldn't heal properly. Celine helped them all. And with each healing, she learned more about the pack. She listened to their gossip, their complaints, their fears. Information was power, and Celine was gathering a lot of it. She learned that Marcus had become more withdrawn after rejecting his mate a year ago. He rarely attended pack functions. He worked constantly, as if trying to outrun his own thoughts. She learned that Beta Drake had become more powerful, making decisions that should have required the Alpha's approval. Some wolves whispered that Drake was the real leader now. She learned that Marcus had never taken another mate, despite pressure from the pack elders. When asked why, he simply said, "The timing isn't right." But the most interesting information came from Maya, Luna's old friend. Maya didn't recognize Celine, of course, but she was friendly and talkative. "You remind me of someone I used to know," Maya said one day, watching Celine work. "She was gentle and kind like you, but the pack treated her terribly. What happened to her? She was the Alpha's fated mate. Can you believe it? But he rejected her in front of everyone. Then Beta Drake banished her to the Deadlands." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I still have nightmares about it. She was my best friend, and I couldn't save her. She's probably dead now." Celine's hands trembled slightly as she crushed herbs in a mortar. "That's a terrible story. The worst part is, I think the Alpha regrets it," Maya whispered. "Sometimes I see him standing at the pack borders, staring out at the Deadlands like he's looking for something. Or someone. The Alpha's growing obsession." Marcus couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious healer. There was something familiar about her, something that tugged at his memory. The way she moved, the sound of her voice, even her scent, which should have been completely foreign, seemed to whisper of something he had lost. He found himself making excuses to visit the hospital, to check on the recovered patients, to ask Celine questions about her healing methods. Really, he just wanted to be near her. It was driving him crazy. He had rejected his fated mate a year ago. It had been the hardest thing he had ever done. Even now, the memory of Luna's heartbroken face haunted his dreams. But he'd had no choice. Drake had convinced him that an Omega Luna would make him look weak, would invite challenges from other packs. Marcus had believed him then. Now he wasn't so sure. One evening, Marcus found Celine in the pack gardens, gathering herbs by moonlight. She looked ethereal in the silver glow, her white hair shimmering. "You work late," Marcus said, approaching her. Celine didn't startle. "The best healing herbs should be harvested under the moon. Their power is strongest then." "You believe in the moon goddess? Don't you? You're a werewolf. We're her children." Marcus sat on a stone bench nearby. "I used to believe. Now I'm not sure. If the goddess truly cared about us, she wouldn't match wolves in cruel ways." Celine's hands paused in their work. "Cruel ways. I had a fated mate once," Marcus said quietly. He didn't know why he was telling her this. Maybe because she was a stranger. Maybe because the moonlight made him honest. "She was an Omega. Sweet, gentle, kind. Everything I didn't deserve. What happened? I rejected her. I was told it was the right thing to do. That an Alpha needed a strong Luna, not a weak one." Marcus's voice cracked. "I watched her collapse from the bond breaking. I watched her cry. And then I let my Beta banish her to die in the Deadlands." Celine stood slowly, turning to face him. In the moonlight, her violet eyes seemed to glow. "And do you regret it?" "Every single day," Marcus whispered. "I search for her in my dreams. I've sent scouts into the Deadlands a dozen times, but they never find any trace. She's gone, and it's my fault. Perhaps she's not gone, Celine said softly. Perhaps she survived. Perhaps she became someone new, someone stronger. Marcus looked up at her. Do you really think that's possible? I think, Celine said carefully, that rejection can destroy a person, or it can forge them into something the world has never seen before. Before Marcus could respond, Drake's voice cut through the garden. Alpha, we have an emergency. Marcus stood quickly. What is it? More wolves are sick, and this time it's worse. It's spreading faster. Celine's eyes narrowed. Impossible. I purified all the water sources. Then someone is poisoning them in a different way, Drake said. But there was something in his eyes, something calculated and cold that made Celine's instincts scream. Uncovering the conspiracy. Celine worked through the night trying to save the new victims. But this poison was different, stronger. By morning, 2 young wolves had died despite her best efforts. The pack was in chaos. Wolves accused each other of being traitors. Fights broke out. Marcus was losing control of his people, and everyone could see it. Celine requested a private meeting with Marcus and Drake. I need to examine your food stores, your wine cellars, every possible source. This poison is being administered systematically. I'll take you, Drake offered quickly. Something in his eagerness made Celine suspicious. She had been watching Drake carefully over the past week. He was always present when decisions were made, always offering advice, always pushing Marcus toward choices that seemed to weaken his authority.